What's happening, everybody? Happy Tuesday, and welcome to Pete and Joe. And it is the free agency frenzy starting yesterday at noon and continuing today and kicking off officially tomorrow. Pete Smith, man, we got free agency. We've got some new offensive linemen to talk about. We've got a huge trade that the Baltimore Ravens just backed out of. We got a lot going on, Peter. What's going on, big guy?
I'm incredibly angry at the Ravens right now. I wanted that trade to go through. So we'll see what happens with that. But, the Brown stuff is interesting. I would say I'm encouraged by some of it, and I have major concerns about other elements that maybe they're still going to address but are just still hanging out there.
Okay. Well, before we get into all that, guys, I just want to give a special shout out to OBR.com and the OBR streaming network for hosting us tonight. And again, guys, this is the time of year to get into OBR.com, become an insider, get all the benefits of the insider forums, ask the insiders, all that stuff from Fred Greetham, Lade Atkins, Pete Smith here. It's the best site you can ask for a time like this, guys. Be sure to join up now and sign up and get all the best information. All right, Pete. So let's look at what the Browns have done in a nutshell so far, right? We've got 3 free agent signings and a trade, and we re-signed Tevin Jenkins. So what do you think? I mean, the way I see it right now, we've got left guard through right tackle locked up, and then we've still got a pretty big hole at left tackle. And there's still so much time, right? Technically free agency hasn't even kicked off yet. So all we're doing right now is raising the floor of our offensive line room, and I'm okay with that. What's your take on the signing so far?
Well, I mean, they got the memo. The offensive line wasn't good. It needs to be fixed. They obviously had to attack that with the guys they're losing to free agency, the guys they're just moving on from. They got the message loud and clear, which is good. They also have acquired a bunch of guys where you're not really sure where they're going to end up. Presumably, Titus Howard's going to end up at right tackle. After that, it's sort of like, we'll see, which is kind of cool in the sense that, like, the Browns have options. So, like, they theoretically have a guard or potentially 2 guards or a guard and center. Mm-hmm. And if there's a really good opportunity out there that's at something else, they can pick either one and sort of shuffle the line around. Zion Johnson's going to end up at 1 guard spot. Yeah. Elgton Jenkins could end up at guard or center. Mm-hmm. And that's useful. But we'll see where that sort of shakes out because, the centers went real fast. And there's this worry that you're sort of sitting out there with nothing. And so if you get Jenkins, and there are some risks there, that's a great move for you to bolster that position. So in that sense, there are 2 spots still to fill. Tevin Jenkins, competition. Certainly he can compete for a spot. Perfect world. I think he's better at depth, just given the sort of injury history with him.
Yeah, I said the fragility of his
But I think overall, like, both Jenkins are exactly the type of signings I thought the Browns would make. They are guys who are coming off injuries or inconsistency where their contract demands are sort of limited. And you get professional football players, which the Browns desperately need, on the offensive line, but it doesn't sort of lock them into anything. In other words, the Browns could easily go into the draft and get a guard or center and, like, prepare for those guys to take over next year or even this year. And there's nothing that stops you, which is kind of the dream scenario. Compete, see who the best guy is, and figure it out from there. Yeah. So from that standpoint, it's great. Zion Johnson, more of a commitment. Coming out of the draft, this dude looked like he was going to be an absolute stud. Yeah. He has everything to be a great, great offensive lineman. He tests like an elite athlete. He tests like a tackle, if not for the fact he's 6'2" and change. Like everything else, arms, ballast, the athleticism. He hits the magic shuttle number, all the things that people talk about. His athletic testing is better than Spencer Fano. Yeah. So you sit there and you go, I remember when the Chargers took him, you're like, oh man, this guy's just gonna be great and he played at BC and you just the heritage and everything with that. Yeah. It just hasn't happened. Now he's been better this last year, but you are signing a guy on aspiration. You are signing on that you are going to turn him into not just a solid guard, a very good guard, somebody who's going to sort of lead the line, which is great if you can get it out of it. But You have to believe in that. And the other thing that really works in his favor, he is durable as hell. He's played almost 4,500 snaps in 4 years. He doesn't miss time, which in itself is super valuable. But again, with the amount of money you're paying him, you want him to be a stud, and that has not happened yet. So it's got to happen soon. So there's risk there with that, betting real money on him to be a really good player. The rest of it, very sensible. The Titus Howard deal, we've sort of talked about. I don't love the money there, but I get it. He's a professional football player, a tackle. They need that. And now they've got at least 3 starters in place. It's just a question of where they go. And now we're still waiting to deal with the rest of it.
Yeah. One thing that I think gets lost on a lot of us when we're going over these numbers and all these contractual stuff, like the Browns aren't good, right? And they have to pay the bad team tax. And sometimes we're going to have to overpay a little bit to get guys in our building. And I think that's the case in point with, Zion Johnson. That was probably the case in point that we threw a little extra to Titus Howard just to, not necessarily that we had to, because Howard was under contract with the trade and everything like that. But still, this isn't a good football team right now. We have no quarterback. It's a tough sell on a prospective free agent because it's not like you can show them the plan. Like, oh, well, we've got this quarterback, so if we just build around him, right? Everything is kind of a hopeful right now, right? Like Shedeur. You can't really argue that like, oh, yeah, we have Shedeur. You should come play for us. You're hoping that Shedeur becomes something. So it's just a tough sell. It just is. And I see you lift your eyebrows there, Pete, but I got to tell you, man, I don't know who's coming through that door to battle Shedeur. I don't know, man. I got to tell you, the pickings are slim, and I think I'm going to get my unimpeded Shedeur Sanders starting week 1.
Well, that's one of my major concerns here is that you have an unserious quarterback room right now. And you can say that Shedeur Sanders will get better, and I'm willing to believe some of that, but there's a scenario where he doesn't.
Yeah.
And you have nothing. And you're going, okay, Dylan Gabriel, get in there. Maybe he got better. Like that's really tough. That's a really tough sell. And look, there's moves they can still make. I'm not going to, and Andrew Berry keeps talking about it's the most important position in all this, and we value it seriously. But to your point, it's getting lean
thin
out there.
Yeah.
It's getting lean in terms of options. And I don't want to draft a quarterback in this class. It's awful.
Yeah.
I'd rather wait till 2027, which is my whole thing. People hated the idea of getting Geno Smith. But this is my whole argument was like, it's real bad and it's going to get real slim real fast. And you want to have a professional quarterback. Now, I don't know what the hell the Jets are doing because they are supposedly trying to tank a season at the same time. Their head coach is desperately trying to keep his job. So I don't know how this works, but like, look, potentially, is this overreacting? Maybe. But I said during the head coaching cycle that there's a non-zero chance it was a one and done deal. Today, as we sit here right now, I think it's a greater chance of being one and done for one Todd Monken than it was a week ago. Because I don't know what people think is going to happen where if yes, the supporting cast getting around Shedeur Sanders is certainly getting better. If that's who's going to be, great. But I watched the games. The Bengals game was the last one. It was awful. He threw that god awful pick against the Steelers.
But Pete, you're talking about a rookie who wasn't ready. You're talking about the end of a season that was already off the tracks. You're talking about a runaway train of an offense, and of course he looked bad. Everybody that was behind center for the Browns last year looked bad behind center. Okay,
true.
My biggest issue is I feel like you either, like Browns fans are split, right? It's either like, I want to see Shedeur or I want to see anybody but Shedeur. And my thing is this. I mean, look, I understand that he was a 5th round pick. I think there's an asterisk next to that, not necessarily because the league was trying to hold him down in any way. I just feel like some off the field stuff affected his evaluation to the point where it devalued him to a 5th round pick. And I don't think he was ever valued at a 5th round pick. And the way I see it, this is a franchise, Pete. We've gone into seasons with Charlie Fry unchallenged. We went into seasons with Colt McCoy unchallenged. I'm okay with going in with Shedeur Sanders unchallenged. I'm okay with that. And the only reason I'm okay with that is because Deshaun Watson is on the roster and he's not going anywhere. And we are not getting anyone of significance without him off this roster. That's just how it is, man.
I don't disagree. I should say I don't agree with the idea that Deshaun is that much of a stopper. If you got just average quarterback play with what they're doing everywhere else, granted, the tight end thing is another one where I sit there and go, yeesh.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, if you got average quarterback play with what they're doing, the defense looks like it's going to be in really good shape. I love the Quincy Williams deal. By the way, I believe I had that. If you have that and you have average offense, like this team could be competitive. But there's a scenario where the season's over before September ends, like based on what we have now. And again, we got to see where this goes. Now, I don't know if you've seen what Jason Lloyd is coming out and saying today about work ethic and questions in the building. And I don't know what's true and what isn't, but the same day where Geno Smith is taken away from me, then I'm reading about how there are major concerns about what Shedeur is doing. This does not give me confidence in the current situation.
Well, so the only thing I've seen of Shedeur in the offseason was, aside from the funeral he went to for the Colorado player, I saw a picture with him and Jerry Jeudy working out, doing, routes or whatever they're doing. Don't get me wrong. Jason Lloyd's a very well tenured reporter in the area. He's very good at his job. I mean, that guy has been anti-Shedeur since day one to an extreme. So for him to come out with sources say he doesn't work hard, I mean, so be it. Like the proof is in the pudding. We're going to see that in September. We're going to see that in August. We're going to see that plenty this season if it's actually the case. But
this is ultimately why I desperately wanted competition. Yeah. I wanted to make sure that this could not be a thing. And I'm not saying, again, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But let's say it's true for the sake of argument. And they were to put a Geno Smith in there or Jacoby Brissett, who seemingly is the starter in Arizona. What the hell is that? Or if they trade for Jameis or Jameis Winston.
You can't break up him and McBride. No way.
If that guy walks into the building, I feel like it's an extra push to ensure that you're going to get the best of whatever you're going to get. I don't want to give any excuse to not be pushing balls to the wall. And at the same time, I'm sitting there going, I hope Dylan Gabriel's getting better. I hope the hell he's getting better as well for the same reason. I do not want to just find out in August that the kid, that if it's true, that the kid basically inherited the job and didn't do anything to really earn it. Because unfortunately, that has been the track record for him. And that's say what you will, Daddy got him the quarterback job at everywhere he's been other than with the Browns to this point. So that's not to take it. I've always seen him as a guy who works hard. Now, how he learns has always been the issue, which is talking about watching film and all this other stuff. And being a tactile learner is fine, but you got to watch tape, man. I don't need to get the Kyler Murray clause in here to make you watch if that is the issue. But I just don't want to.
Obviously, that's an issue, and I'm not about to say that it's not. But that's something that you can just throw out in the ether, and nobody can question it.
Yes, that's absolutely true. I don't disagree with that one. You could just say what on both ends with Shedeur. Honestly, he's in the Mike Tyson zone, so to speak, and from that standpoint, where anything is plausible from that standpoint. But what I fear is that Shedeur in September, October, or Todd Monken is going to end up in a trash can because the team basically said the locker room basically said this was completely unserious and we knew we were screwed before we got here. So I would just say I'm hoping that somehow, some way they're going to bring in something else to, again, make him earn it, as opposed to we're just going to roll it out there and see what happens.
Look, I get that completely, okay? And it's not that I don't want Shedeur to be challenged. I don't want him to earn the job. But at this point, Pete, who is coming in the door that's going to push Shedeur and challenge Shedeur and be a veteran who can provide that leadership and that kind of, this is how a professional approaches things? Because if you ask the Browns, they already had that guy in the room in Deshaun. And if I have to hear Andy Baskin again talk about how Deshaun's the only one who's done it, he's the only one, so Todd Monken's going to want to hand him the football. Dear God. That's what we're looking at. That's an immovable part of the process is Deshaun. And that is the one guy in the National Football League that I don't want to see start for the Browns. So like that's where I'm at right now. I don't know who we're gonna get, and I don't know. I mean, what's the other choice? The draft and Ty Simpson, right?
Well, look, yes, I've heard Andy Baskin's argument, basically chasing the bad money. He does not seem to grasp how poisonous this dude is. He is toxic to this fan base. You want to end this.
My mind.
You want to end the season before it starts? Put that guy under center. You want to kill any chance of people showing up to games?
Yeah.
Put that guy under center. Like it's just it's over. Like nobody wants to see that guy other than him. And apparently Andy Baskin and a few other people. Like there's nothing there. And there were people who are like sick of losing. Well, I will do anything. And then they watch it and then they're like quickly reminded how bad he was. And you want to blame Kevin Stefanski and say that was his fault? Fine. I watched that dude play. His eyes were never in the right place. He kept dropping them under pressure. It was god awful. But I'm with you on 100%. And from that standpoint, and I've said this before, if we get in the quote unquote open competition, every rep that Deshaun gets that Sanders or Dylan Gabriel is not getting, and particularly Shador, is a complete waste of everybody's time. Those should all be his reps at that point because he's not going to be here next year. Like, what's the upside? That Deshaun's going to play well enough that you're going to give him more money? It's ludicrous.
The idea of that makes me want to fight. I don't even care who it is. Whoever brings it up, I'm ready. I'm ready to rumble.
It's awful. And there's nothing there for anyone. Everybody wants to move on. It's awful. So from that standpoint, I'm left to now root like hell that Shador is going to get better and all those elements. But the other position that's just sitting out there that obviously has questions is tight end.
Yeah.
Charlie Kolar, obviously I'm disappointed, and my early indications of Todd Monken's recruiting ability are not high.
Not good.
Not great. Has come here yet. Yeah. There's various reasons that could be. Charlie Kolar went to a team that makes a whole lot of sense for Charlie Kolar.
Did Jim Harbaugh is $8 million a year for him? 3 years?
No, I thought that was. I would have paid that.
Yeah, no, I mean it was just surprising.
I absolutely would have paid that. You want to play that style of football. Jim Harbaugh's your guy, so I get it. I would have loved him as a tone setter, but right now, unless they're going to get like Dallas Goedert, that would be fine. I would be all for that. I just don't see a whole lot of reason for Dallas Goedert to want to make that happen. Yeah. If they were to get that, great. That's a credible player that I could see doing the thing where you bring him in for a year. Do basically the same approach they're taking with the offensive line right now.
What about a veteran like Mo Alley Cox from Indy? He's a little bit. He's a little more in line. He's a solid blocker.
Yeah, that would be fine. What I don't want to do is not have something, and basically your depth chart is Blake Whiteheart and Brendan Bates, and you're like, we're gonna go to the draft and figure this out. I hate that is. So get me something. I thought Johnny Munt was going to be an option. He already signed with the Eagles. So right.
The Eagles got him and Calcaterra back as well.
Yes.
That is tight ends going quick.
That is the option.
That is annoying.
That's the position where I sit there and go, we knew this was a thing the Browns wanted to address, and it's just still sitting there. So I'm hoping they figure something out. Now they could go back to the well. They tried this last year with going to the Raiders, who may or may not want to trade at this point.
Michael Mayer. Yeah. Hell yeah.
They talked to Michael Mayer. Now, Chip Kelly was a big reason why they were holding on to him like grim death last year. Has that changed? What's the price? All that stuff. But he's in line why he's on the younger side. There's reasons you could talk yourself into that. Again,
and not just that, he's a great fit with Bowers. He's a great fit with Bowers.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're short on weapons anyway. And Tom Brady's overlooking. He likes two tight ends.
I like some of their weapons. I love the kid out of Cincinnati, Trey Tucker, CVCA grad. He's really good. I watching him against the Browns, I was like, man, bring them both. Him and Geno Smith. I was really impressed with what he was able to do. But from that standpoint, the Browns have got the memo in terms of offensive line. There's still guys out there. I know a lot of people are saying I'm Rashad Walker. We'll see. I have no idea what Rashad Walker's demands are or what his market is. I
feel like they got to be pretty high if he hasn't signed yet.
Well, this is the thing. I keep hearing this, and the free agency hasn't even started officially yet.
No, for sure. But Pete, you know how it is, man. When you're a top dog in a position of prominence, you go quick. You go real quick. Look at Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce, like,
Oh, that insane.
that's a lot of money.
That's insane. How in the hell is he going to justify $29 million a year?
Look at the sign. Look at the money that they're spending just to make sure that the heart and soul of this team and this nucleus is Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce. That's what they're building around. That's their Chase and Burrow.
I'm so pissed at the Colts. I'm so bitter at the Colts. Beyond paying him, then they go, hey, Steelers, here's a free guy that's going to make your team better and piss me off for the next 3 years because he does a whole bunch of really good things that's just going to annoy me. Like, come on, man, think. Listen, like you make your team worse by you had both of these guys. You could have just franchised Alec Pierce, which is what I thought they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Where was Daniel Jones going? You felt like you had to make this move.
Thank you. Where's that risk? Where's the risk of letting him out the door?
You could have. So you could have had both these guys, plus Tyler Warren coming back, plus John. I just think they've gotten worse. Now they could. I presume they will go into the draft and get somebody else. But like again, $29 million of value. I get the arrows pointed up for Alec Pierce. He just hit his first 1,000-yard season. That was it. And he's the next time he has 1,200 yards and better year than Jerry Jeudy in 2024 will be the first. Jerry Jeudy's making $17 million. Jerry Jeudy is now averaging the same amount of money as Rashid Shaheed is with the Seahawks. So people got to get over it with Jerry Jeudy. Like that contract is really valuable right now and allows them to do a lot of interesting things. But like, yeah, $29 million for him. Daniel Jones is going to sign for some insane amount of money at some point, coming off an Achilles, which is his own worry. That whole thing is crazy. And obviously, receivers still going to be a thing for the Browns. But as we sit here right now, it's setting up the way I'm hoping it's going to set up, where the Browns are going to continue to address the line. Rasheed Walker's certainly out there. We'll see what happens with that. Mm-hmm. You know, if it's Josh Jones, if it's the guy who I think makes some sense for the Browns would be Joe Noteboom at this point. Yeah. The one Raven, maybe they can lure over here to again establish that, and then
that's on Warhop too, Pete. I thought Warhop was gonna throw around a little weight as well. I've been unimpressed. You're not wrong. The recruiting game is weak so far.
Also $27 million for a center is again I get he's good. How is he going to justify that amount of money?
It's the bad team tax. You got to pay it. They'll figure all that stuff later. Return on investment is out the window. He's a center, and you're never going to see a tangible return on investment. You just hope he holds up, and everybody's great. I think, look, considering they're bringing in Mendoza, I have no issue with it.
Yes.
Solidify left tackle, solidify center. Yeah. And
there's no way I was going to match that or go anywhere near that.
No.
I think 22 was probably as high as I would have gone.
Yeah.
And that would have been, over and above. But like, I understand.
It's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money.
But if they can get that something at tackle, the left tackle to sort of, again, get that March offensive line out there that they can roll out and go, hey, we've got a group. We could theoretically play a football game. And then they can go into April and play the board. And then at that point, I continue to hope Lemon or Tate, whatever. Lemon still better, but Tate would be great to really open this thing up in terms of the offense and just give yourself some dudes, because all these people talking about Monroe Freeling, and I get it, but like I sit here and go, yeah, that's the offensive line is going to be in really good shape. Your offense is still going to suck because you have nothing. I mean, Harold Fannin, I'm hoping he has a great year. Jerry Jeudy, I'm hoping he comes back to more 2024 form. Cedric Tillman stays healthy, all that stuff. But like, you're still sitting there going, where's my threats? That's going to scare anybody. And like, that's where I continue to sit here and go, if the Browns could get in a situation and all these people you get this weird pendulum where some people are saying the draft is good and some people are saying the draft is awful. It's all the more reason for me to hit that position hard. And again, Alec Pierce is the reason why I want to do it. 29 million. Wan'Dale Robinson is 5'8" and is getting $78 million. Like the people who tell me I can't have Mekhi Lemon at 6, look at what is happening in the league. Like these guys are getting valued so highly that you're like, you got to get over this like thing of he's a slot receiver. Those guys are taking over the league right now. So there may be reasons not to take Lemon at 6. They're not very good, but nevertheless, like look at what is happening with the league. So that's where we sort of sit here now. The the other side of the ball, to me, is opportunities galore. I don't know about you, but again, I love the Quincy Williams signing. I said it.
Yep.
I said, look, I'm thrilled for Devin Bush. Happy I hope he gets all 30 million. I was not going to pay it. My fear, and I don't think it's unjustified, was this was the best season he's ever going to have.
Yeah.
And that from then on, you give him that money, and then not because it's his fault, 2 balls bounced right to him and he ran for them for touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, and not for nothing, Pete, with the defense that we have set up. Look, Quincy Williams is perfect. He is a stick of dynamite. He is fast. He is downhill. He's explosive. I can't wait to see him next to Schlesinger. And I'm with you. I loved what Devin Bush did the last couple of years. He completely turned his career around. It was dead in the water, and he turned it around, and he got a great deal. Good for him. Good luck in Chicago. But I am not even remotely worried about that piece of the puzzle. I mean, it might be a slight downgrade. It might not be. Who knows?
My hot take is he's going to be better. I think he's going to be better.
Yeah, I definitely think it's possible. He's motivated too. He's a pissed off young man who got a raw deal last year.
Yes, and he also plays very angry, which I also enjoy.
Yes,
but it's because, if you want to say he's 75% of JOK, he plays that style. Devin Bush is more read and react. He wants to see it. He wants to go get it because he can't make a mistake with his knee, for the most part. But he's more of a in the field of play type player, whereas Quincy Williams is quick trigger and attack, and he's averaging 11.6 tackles for loss over the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. He makes plays on the football. He is super fast and rangy, and you watch him turn the corner on some of this stuff. And look, scheme's going to be different, but I expect Rutenberg's going to blitz him quite a bit.
Yep.
And Devin Bush is good at a very wide range of things. Blitzing was never his thing. So Schwetzinger's a really good blitzer. Now you got 2 guys at any given point you can send, and they can be an absolute help because he's so quick. And the biggest thing I always worry about with this defense is if that usually the left end crashes inside, somebody gets around, and it's just Denzel Ward over there, and you're like, come on, man. Quincy Williams is fast enough to see it and react. You watch him break on screens or read and diagnose that stuff and make plays in the backfield. That will give you the JOK vibe where you should. I remember what this looks like.
Yep.
Is he going to have 20 tackles for loss in a season like JOK did? Probably not. But he wasn't all pro with Rutenberg as the linebackers coach. And you just watch what he does. It's very easy to see why the Browns were all over this. And I like this move way better than the potential for Caden Ellis. Nothing against Caden Ellis. He's just more geared to be a run stopper. I wanted more range. I wanted more coverage stuff because that's my main concern. If the Browns want to re-sign some of the guys that they've had, like Mahmoud Diabate, or they want to roll Reed. With Winston Reed, or they want to roll with the Buki Watson. Yeah. Those guys can fill and play the run. I need guys who can help in coverage and take away some of that stuff because somehow, some way, I want this team to see a lead someday. And I want guys like Quincy Williams to close out because he is a passing down demon. And that's what I want from that position. And, again, cheaper than what they're paying for. And that's certainly an element because I want to be able to spend the money where it matters. Currently, that's the offensive line if they need it. But just Carson Schwetzinger is great. He's exactly what you want. I don't want to be spending $10 million on another linebacker. It's just not smart play to me. I think this kid's going to be awesome for this, and you get that natural benefit of guy who's been in Rutenberg's system, communicate all the things, and he's in a position where he's got to do a lot of talking, which is important. So all those things to me, that has been my favorite signing of this period so far. Quincy Williams by far, but the rest of the defense, I just see all these things where the Browns could make different plays, whether it's free agency or the draft, and make this unit better. And so coming into free agency, there were 2 things that happened. One of them apparently is not going to happen. But last year, there were 3 head coaches that were fired and GMs that were retained. One of them was Brandon Beane, who just made an asinine trade for DJ Moore, giving up a 2nd-round pick a year after he gave up, or 2 years after he gave up a 3rd-round pick with some pass back offset picks for Amari Cooper. these are not good trades.
Yeah.
And the Ravens, Eric DeCosta, John Harbaugh's fired, Eric DeCosta's retained, and they make what I thought was don't get me wrong, Max Crosby's a terrific player, but I thought was a terrible trade for the Ravens because they were going to be out of the first round of the 2027 draft, which is, I'm here for that.
Yeah.
And out of 14th pick, like that's a really high pick for them.
And out of a ton of money as well.
But like both of these GMs made what I would say are desperate trades. And I was sitting here going, Andrew, please don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Andrew. Don't make the desperate trade, which signals the pressure that's on you. And to this point, that has not happened. And obviously the biggest thing with free agency and all this stuff is restraint, which he's been good at. So now at this point in free agency, which again is like 30 hours old and hasn't officially started yet, there's all these things out there where you could sit there and go, oh, I could use this on defense, a defensive lineman, just to throw out names. I'm not saying these are things that are happening, but like Dalvin Tomlinson's released by Arizona. I'm sitting there go, okay, like I presume he's going to want more money than the Browns are willing to give him, but I would love to bring him back. Obviously,
let me ask you,
back.
Would you take a flyer on another situational pass rusher? Because I know you're upset that we lost Cam Thomas. I'm not happy about that either. But whether we look in the draft or in free agency, maybe even both, because it was last year they got Joe Tryon-Shoyinka at the start of free agency. And I'm just saying, like throwing bodies into the equation.
Right. That is the second time today that somebody has mentioned somebody I completely forgot existed. The first one? You know what the first one was? Caleb Johnson. I saw all this stuff about Rico Dowdle, and I'm sitting there going, hey, the Steelers have two pretty good running backs. I'm like, oh, right, they have a second-round pick there. Nobody cares about.
Yeah.
People have forgotten about Caleb Johnson so fast. It's incredible. But
anyway. I'll be honest. I was a little pissed initially. I like Rico Dowdle. Yes, he's tough, man. Like that. He's very good. And I was happy that Gainwell left. I thought Gainwell was tough too.
Yes. I was sitting there going, Rico Dowdle's good. They've got a really nice setup. I was like, oh, right, Caleb Johnson's still there. So, I $3 million, I would have paid it, but I get it. I get when you're paying, it's 25% of the reps. I get it. But again, it just becomes this massive opportunity. You find a guy and you're like, I really like this guy. I want to bring him in for something cheap. And you're like, yeah, get after the passer. But what I sort of like is the fact that you have defensive tackle and defensive end where are both opportunities. So if you just get a player you really like and you're like, yeah, we'll bring him in. So if it's Dalvin Tomlin sitting out there and nobody signs him immediately, you're like, yeah, we need a run stopper anyway. And we're waiting for Malik Collins to come back. And, if Shelby Harris doesn't want to come back, and I'd love to have him back too, but like that becomes an opportunity. You're like, yeah, I'll get that. The other guy I'm sure people have forgotten about already because of all the stuff that's going on. Martin Emerson's just hanging out there. So if he's a guy that like, he goes, well, the market wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I want to re-sign for a cheap prove-it deal. Give the Browns depth at corner. Great. Love it. And then today, the Packers released Nate Hobbs. And I'm sitting there going, he was pretty good as a slot corner. Now was boundary for the Packers.
And Hobbs was on the Raiders, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Long ago. And he was a really feisty slot corner. And you're sitting there going, so I don't know if the price is going to be there, but like if the Browns are sitting there, I want a really feisty man coverage based slot corner. Nate Hobbs is sitting out there. These are all opportunities. Safety. That's the other one where I sit there and I don't, obviously the Ronnie Hickman seems like he's going to be back. They tendered him and all that, but there's a world where he could be your third safety. Is there a safety sitting out there where Rutenberg's like, I got to have this. I want to upgrade this spot. So all those position groups, all these spots you're sitting there going, they could just let this thing play out. They're going to be somebody who fits what they want to do and sits there and goes, I love the opportunity in Cleveland. Like, I'm going to go there and ball out, and then I'm going to go get a contract. Like the Devin Bush scenario, obviously. Now, his is a little bit longer track. He went from off the Steelers knee injury to then the Seahawks
for a couple years,
and then did nothing there for a year, and then comes to the Browns. And he played this last year for $3.5 million after the previous year. He's basically on the league minimum or something close to it. Find the next one of those where you're like, he's going to be here a year, he's going to ball out, and he's going to go cash in. And like, that's what I'm hoping happens. Now, I mentioned people that could sort of fit that bill. Maybe there's other opportunities there on the pass rush side that I'm not thinking of, or defensive line or something like that. Or there's a yet another, wave of guys that are going to be available that I'm not thinking of, but like that's the spot where I really like this defense being because they're really good, and there's going to be people that they just sit there and go, I want to go there.
Well, let's touch on safety for a minute. A couple things on that. Number one, he was kind of a darling last preseason. People were surprised he went undrafted. Donovan McMillan, I think, factors into this safety room moving forward, at least on some degree, whether it's the fourth safety or maybe, he can ascend into the kind of rotational third safety role a little bit. My other thing, too, is Grant Delpit's in the final year of his deal. Are we looking to extend him? Do you think he's just going to, move on after the year? I certainly don't hope. I hope not. I think Grant Delpit's a pretty damn good ball player.
That's a good question. And I think some of that's going to depend on what Rutenberg wants to do. And because for better or worse, Grant Delpit has been pigeonholed as the tight end stopper. And he's been really good at that.
Yeah.
But does Rutenberg want to play more of mixing, matching his coverages where these guys are theoretically all playing different roles at different points? At different times, the Browns have sort of messed around with this idea of disguising what look was going to be and then having guys pick up different stuff. But then they just sort of boil down to it, and then Grant Delpit go get the tight end. So I think Grant Delpit can do more things than that. I think he's versatile enough to do that. He's just been really good at this one thing. So maybe Rutenberg sees it the same way, and he's like, yeah, I want to keep this guy. I think that's certainly an interesting option. The team seems to value his leadership. I continue to look at him as the barometer for the locker room. I think he is very good at sort of speaking reality to that group, like saying publicly what I think guys in the locker room were saying privately regarding guys like Carson Schwarzenegger and being a leader and those type of things. Like I think Grant Delpit has a very good feel for the pulse of that group that does matter. So I'm hoping, to your point, that they do that. Now, if the weird scenario plays out where I could see this happening, where if the Browns go into the draft and let's say they take Monroe Freeling at 6 or whatever, and or they sign Rasheed Walker and they take an offensive player at 6 and like Dylan Thieneman is just sitting there at 24 and Mike Rutenberg's like, I want that guy. Yeah. I could see them do like that. That guy of all of them is the one where I could see the Browns be like, yeah, we want that because he does so many things that I think Rutenberg would want, could be the stamp for him and all these things. Yeah. And maybe at that point they're like, well, we've invested here and we want to, that could change the math or be more reason to keep Delpit because they've got a guy on the rookie contract. Maybe that's the right play. I don't know. But we shall see. I certainly hope Delpit can stay and be around because this is I thought he should have been. I thought he was better than his play was sort of given credit for. I thought he sort of had a really strong case to make the Pro Bowl this past year. Again, not that means much. I think he made it as an alternate for special teams, but like
I think it means something for everybody but quarterbacks, Pete. I think that's the new new stipulation.
He's just a good football player, and the Browns need those. And
Agreed.
and that's one of those positions that tends to be able to age a little bit. So he's not old by any stretch, but I'm hoping he's the guy that they can sort of figure out how to keep because obviously at some point they're going to have to plan for life after Denzel Ward. They've still got Tyson Campbell, but I don't know that they're going to want to sort of like do a wholesale change. And he's the guy where you could sort of theoretically, and obviously they're still sort of really figuring this out with Ronnie Hickman even and Donovan McMillan, who I really like. Yeah. How, can Delpit be the guy who sort of keeps, leads this group into whatever tenure they're going into?
Well, and that's the thing too, because I mean, it's the last year of his deal. So his cap number is probably going to be higher than usual. A simple extension could lower that cap number and give us a little more flexibility too. So
yes. Sure. Absolutely. So I just look at the situation and just see options for them.
All right. Well, let's look at, I've got a list down of some prominent free agents that are remaining in positions that might interest us. And it's not a great list. I only got 7 names on here. I've got Rasheed Walker from Green Bay, obviously. I've got Joseph Noteboom from Baltimore, who you just mentioned a little bit ago. Got Chris Paul from Washington, which he'll obviously be more expensive, right? But I feel like if we did sign him, it would be because Bitonio is retiring and Tevin Jenkins is hopefully just a depth signing, right? Like last year was like a 1 year, $3.5 million deal for Jenkins, I believe. So maybe something similar for this season as well.
Yeah, the Chris Paul thing is really interesting because obviously Albert Breer mentioned him as the guy he was linking to the Browns.
But Diana Rossini said that we were hot and heavy after him. We were very aggressive in the guard market today.
Well, that was after that. I think that was, I don't know about Chris Paul, but it was definitely in reference to the AVT signing, saying they were still going to be active and aggressive.
Oh, I must have misheard that this morning. I thought that was in reference to Paul. That's my fault.
No, well, I mean, it may be. But the question I don't know the answer to is, do they want both Paul and Zion, or which is insane that they basically have underperformed, one wash point guard and an underperforming power forward is what would be their two guards. If was Zion a target in addition to Chris Paul, or was it we want to get one of these two guys?
The other.
And I don't know the answer to that because obviously if the Browns sign, one, we'll see what the price is realistically. I know Albert Breer suggested it would be a sort of eye-popping amount of money given what he's done. But he's still out there. Is the price going to come down? It's going to be a little bit more manageable. And are the Browns content to just basically commit to these guys in free agency? Now, it would track with the thing I've always said. The Browns prioritize the interior heavily. They pay money to get that stuff taken care of. And obviously with tackle, they've got Titus Howard, but I think realistically they want to get two guys that can ultimately be the long-term answers. Now, if they get Rasheed Walker, that would be certainly put an end to that. But that still seems like the most likely scenario, that they want to get the interior settled, have guys to sort of plug tackles, and then be able to get guys, whether it's this year, whether it's over the course of the next 2 years or whatever, they can sort of be the long-term answers to that because they're so difficult to find, and offset the cost of the rest of the line because now they've got some dollars in that group again.
Yeah. So let's talk about I got a couple quarterbacks on this list, and I think one of them is going to interest you, and the other one is going to be a no thank you. But I feel like the no thank you might be a little more of a fit for theoretically what Monken would like to do. But I've got Sam Howell and I've got Trey Lance. Now, I am well aware that when it comes to playing the quarterback position, Sam Howell is a far more effective quarterback in the NFL game than Trey Lance. But that's an awful lot of talent that you're taking a gamble on with Trey Lance. So for a cheap lottery ticket to throw in a competition, you could definitely do worse. What do you think about either one of those guys providing anything against Shedeur?
Between the two, I would go with Sam Howell. Clearly, he actually played quarterback and done it to some level of success, even if it's not been great. There's something there with him where you can sit there and go, okay, maybe he can be a bridge. As far as the other one goes, less annoying Anthony Richardson, I guess. Has not done anything other, outwardly insane where you're sitting here going, this is a completely unserious move, and you don't have to trade for him. So Trey Lance, from that standpoint, is certainly more intriguing than Anthony Richardson, but only slightly more intriguing than Anthony Richardson. So if you could get him on some tryout basis to see, basically what you would pay Tyler Huntley or something to see if he can make it work, great. And if he can make it, then you can pay him a little bit more money. But I don't think he's going to want to do that. But I don't want to bank on Trey Lance.
Would you go into, if you had to take one or the other, would you go into this season with your third quarterback as Dylan Gabriel, or would you rather have Trey Lance?
I'd rather go with Dylan Gabriel, honestly. I think I know people are so down on him. He's little, although the same people then want to bring in a just as small Kyler Murray. I've said this before. I think if Shedeur played first and Dylan Gabriel played second relative to the rookies, the conversation would probably be flipped to a certain extent. Dylan Gabriel played the harder part of the schedule, obviously played earlier, had less time to sort of get comfortable. I get all the limitations with him. I didn't want to draft him where they drafted him.
Yeah.
But he's going into year 2. Like, there's reason to believe he's going to get better. Is it going to be better enough to be good? Probably not. But if he can at least be a backup quarterback, like, great, that's fine. That's largely what I expected from him. So I'd be much more interested in just seeing if he can figure it out. Now, maybe the Browns know something I don't, and they're just like, this kid can't play at all. Possible, but I would rather go that route than messing around with Trey Lance, who's had how many years has he been in the league at this point?
He was 2022, wasn't he? Or was he 2021? Yeah, 2021, right? He's the 3rd overall pick.
Same year as Mac Jones.
Yeah. So, 2021, it went Lawrence and Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, yada, yada, yada.
So, and I get it. Like, there's, you do the element with, Sam Darnold, and look at how it just took him a while to find the right fit and all these things. He also got put into a really good offense. I don't know that the Browns have that either. So I understand the argument. I'm not interested in Trey Lance.
Fair enough. How about Roger McCreary from the Rams? It's a nickel corner. He's a first-round pick a few years ago. Or no, I think he was a second-round pick to Tennessee.
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, price is the factor here. If it's Hobbs, if it's McCreary, whoever. Look, I like Miles Harden, but I have no issue with them trying to get better in that room and continue to add depth. So, yeah, I'm all about price point with me. I have no issue. Man cover corner, that's what they need, seemingly. I assume that's going to be largely what Rutenberg's going to do anyway. So, yeah.
All right. So we had a decent amount of movement on quarterbacks so far. So I figured we could kind of break down that and see the first move. So John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley come from Green Bay, and the very first move that they do, besides eat $99 million of Tua's money to get him the hell out of Dodge, they got Malik Willis. 2 years, $45 million, essentially guaranteed. It's a 3-year, $67 million deal. I got to tell you, Pete, I think this is low risk, high reward. I absolutely love the move from Miami. I really do.
It just all depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
If you're going to turn around and trade Devin Achane, I question why we're doing this.
Yeah,
you're going to, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that whole thing might have been to just fuel because Miami even said it in their pre-draft press conference. We're not really in a position with money, Malik's very talented. We wish him the best, yada, yada, yada. They kind of downplayed that whole deal. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they float that stuff, or if that was just a reporter looking for clickbait. It's the silly season. We see that stuff all year.
If you're sitting there telling me you've got Malik Willis, Devin Achane, and Jalen Waddle, okay,
hell yeah,
they're not going to be good, but that's at least interesting. I can see them cobbling together an interesting offense around that. So from that standpoint, yeah, and obviously in that case, you do have the risk reward thing or the boomer bust prospect, where if he sucks, you're going to tank right into where you probably need to be anyway.
Yep.
So I think it makes sense. I think it's going to be a fair what if for Malik Willis if it doesn't work. If Malik Willis fails in Miami, are we going to sit here and go, man, why didn't you go to Arizona? Or, not knowing what Arizona truly offered, maybe it was serious, maybe it wasn't, or maybe Arizona was too cheap. But if they offered you real money for that spot and it doesn't work with Miami, and you're sitting there going, you had Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah,
you just signed Tyler Algier, who I really like. They've got some linemen. That's
and you got the number 3 pick to add another lineman, or if they want to reach on a Jeremiah Love and make that offense really go, there's a lot of things you could do. I'm with you. I thought Arizona was a great fit for him.
So that's the only thing. I get it for Miami. I think it's a good move for them. I question if it's going to be one that Malik is ultimately going to be happy with.
So looking in the chat right now, and somebody brings up Mike Evans. This was a shocker to me, Pete. I'm very, very surprised that he left Tampa. I'm not surprised that somebody wanted him. I am a little surprised that 3 years, $20 million per. That's steep for a receiver that long in the tooth. He's just so damn productive, though. He's so productive, and you can't teach 6'5", 240 with ball skills, man.
Obviously, so much is going to depend on structure of the contract. Are we going to find out that it's got weird outs? that allow them to bail if his body basically breaks down or the electrical substation gets him. But other than that, like, it's a perfect fit for everybody. Like, I know there's 49ers people who are mad that they're getting even older, but like, if his body holds up and he's a beast, it could be a really good fit that sort of insures you against whatever's going to happen to Juwan Jennings. You're going to lose Ayuk. Like, he could be a really good fit with what you have there and be productive. So, like, is it risky? Sure. But like, everything the 49ers are doing is risky at this point in terms of refusing to sort of really get younger and tear some stuff down. Like, they keep trying to try to push the chips back in. They're obviously got to figure out what's going on with Trent Williams. Yeah. Seemingly they're going to trade him, or some negotiations get worked out. But like, that team is ancient and they'll be good. I mean, they produce, but they don't stay healthy and they seemingly fall short. But like, I totally understand it from their standpoint. Like, I didn't see a whole lot of great fits for Mike Evans relative to where he is right now.
Yeah. Well, let's circle back to Trent Williams. So this, I find this so fascinating. So Trent Williams was at the end of the line when the Niners traded for him in 2018, right? He had so many issues with, at the time, the Washington Redskins and their medical team. They misdiagnosed a cancer thing on his head, right? Like, it was a whole big thing, but he was having injury issues. He was up there in age. He almost retired. And then here we are 10 years later. Like, yeah, San Francisco's going to have to flip him for a pick. His contract's too high. What the hell happened? This guy was drafted in 2010. This is insane.
Well, this is why I point to like Myles Garrett and go, he will be fine. Yeah. Because there's certain people who are just built that way that will just sustain and be great. Now, Trent Williams does deal with a lot of injury issues. He practices maybe once a week. Yeah. But he's still Trent Williams. And he's got superhuman strength. He is somebody not to be toyed with on the field. As if anybody's seen him in a fight, just tosses people around like toys. But yeah, I mean, he has missed more time recently with injuries, which has sort of been a sticking point with the 49ers. Yeah. Missed some big games down the stretch. So, I mean, his staying power is incredible. He's going to go down as one of the greatest offensive tackles in history. But yeah, literally cancerous tumor, which was one of the many things where you're sitting there going, what the hell is going on? Because, people are talking about why don't the Browns do this? I was like, I don't know, man. That tumor might be bad because you just don't have enough information. But to your point, 10 years later, at the same point, like Cam Hayward is extending with the Steelers again. Like, go away. Stop.
Yeah, that's another. That was right before the show kicked off. We had the damn Cam Hayward extension for another season of that guy, and he's another one that like won't get old.
Selfish player won't let the
total selfish player
have a shot. Just
and what pisses me off even more, Pete, is that at one point he used us as a negotiating ploy. How dare you? You son of a. Yeah. All right.
He's just an ultimate selfish player. He plays like 80% of their snaps. Give somebody else a shot.
So, Pete, I got to tell you, we've joked about this since we've started this. I have a very strong opinion on Tua Tagovailoa, okay? And let me just say that him immediately going to Atlanta to Kevin Stefanski, I got to tell you, this is the first time that I've been very, very happy that we decided to part ways with Kevin Stefanski and send him to Atlanta. Because if he would have brought him to Cleveland, I might have been out. I might have been out. I've slandered him too much. I can't save face and still be a Browns fan in that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, look, the talent around whoever is at quarterback is immense.
Yes.
They've got a really good line, Bijan Robinson. They're bringing the tight end back. They've got receivers. They've got a lot of talent. And I like the signings they made too. Like, I like Olamide Zaccheaus as a role player for them.
Yep.
Those type of guys. So whoever is the quarterback has a lot of help around him. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't see where that's going to go. I think they have to hope to hell that Michael Penix is going to be good, because I don't think they want to be in a world where they have to live with Tua on an extended basis. Now, the one thing that he has that he did not have with Miami for many, many years is real protection. They can block. Now, how much is that really going to matter in the end? I don't know, but at least he should stay off the ground. And that's because that's been obviously a huge part of the problem for him. How healthy is he going to be? Unclear. Now they've got 2 left-handed quarterbacks. It sort of simplifies things for them. And from that standpoint, but yeah, I still think Atlanta is right now the heavy favorite to win that division. Everybody else seemingly is getting worse. You can make an argument for Carolina, but I still think
they spent a lot of money. They spent a lot of money between Phillips and Devin Lloyd, 2 players I really, really like. But especially with Phillips, is the health scares the bejesus out of me. He's had
Injuries.
ACL. He's had Achilles. He retired at UCLA due to concussions. Like, that's a serious – I mean, you're talking, what, 30 a year he's making, right? It was 4 years to 120?
Yep.
That is steep, man.
So, I mean, and the Falcons still have to address that issue because everything that comes out about James Pierce is worse. Everything worse. So that becomes an issue for them, but still, they're in a good spot overall. But yeah, quarterback's gonna be a question. Quarterback is a question for every team in that division, without question. Like, every team is sitting there going, "Are we sure that this is the guy?" Baker Mayfield with less weapons is and did not play well down the stretch. You know, Bryce Young, it's still a roller coaster. You're still not sure really what he is.
That's going to be a tough negotiation. The Bryce Young contract, if they even decide to do it.
Tyler Shuck, we'll see. Like, maybe he can continue to grow, but maybe he's just going to be okay. And then Atlanta. So, like, it's a great division to be good at everything else because nobody really has a standard bearer quarterback.
So, sticking with the theme of quarterbacks, so Geno Smith going to the Jets. Does that surprise you?
I don't know what
the Jets did the pick swap and we did not.
Well, I am annoyed at that.
Yeah.
Again, he's a real quarterback for a team in the Jets that seemingly does not want a real quarterback. If there's a team that should be like, screw it, we are going to lose, it's the Jets. And yet they keep doing things that, like, They simultaneously have every incentive to lose, and yet their head coach seems to need to win to keep his job.
Yeah,
like, it's a very weird.
You're right though. They're franchise tagging a running back, right? They're spending money. I don't know, man. I look at that Jets team right now, Pete, and as crazy as this is going to sound, you give me a healthy offensive depth chart, that Jets team's not going to be bad. If they're healthy and they can protect Geno, they got bookend tackles, right? They got Garrett Wilson. They've got Mason Taylor is going to be ascending into hopefully a more prominent player in the passing game. Obviously, Breece Hall can play. If Braylon Allen can come back with any sort of health, there's a 240-pound power back behind him. Like, I feel like Adonai Mitchell made a few plays last year. Maybe year 3 is going to be the year that he kind of steps into a starting role. I'm just saying, man, Geno can play. You've been saying it for months. Geno can absolutely play.
Now, obviously, they're probably going to take a defensive pass rusher at 2. And maybe they're going to keep going on the defensive line, and that's fine. But I just think if they get one more weapon that can contribute, they're in really good shape from that standpoint.
Well, and 16 would be a great spot for that.
They can be frisky at that point and be interesting. So, again, my question is why?
Yeah.
Because you're probably going to win 6. Maybe, like, if things go well, obviously, if they get injuries and all this stuff, it could really go bad in a hurry. And I have no confidence that Aaron Glenn is a good head coach at this point, given what I've seen. But yeah, the Jets are just a team where I don't know what the thought process is. Now, they address the defense in a way that makes them not worst in the league. They brought in a bunch of credible players, and they're building something that could be interesting from that standpoint. They make the trade to bring in Tavondre Sweat.
Yeah.
They've got Juwan Briggs, which I'm not over yet. They have guys there, and then they bring in credible defensive ends on there, and they're presumably going to take either David Bailey or Arvell Reese or Reuben Bain at 2. Like, that unit could be reasonable.
Yeah.
Their DBs aren't terrible, not great. Obviously, they will look better this year with more help.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to be in a tough spot because that division is certainly going to be tough for them. Buffalo is obviously still going to be good. The New England Patriots are still going to be good, but like
but them and Miami are on the same boat.
Are going to be the most meaningless bloodbaths of the season, and I don't know what the incentives are for either team. Now, obviously, Miami has more reason to want to win those games simply because if Malik Willis is good, that is good for them. But like if he's not, then you've got two teams
that lose bad. Yeah. Well, and the Jets have 3 first rounders next year to go along with the 2 they have this year. So, I mean, you would assume that they're, just like the Browns making their play for quarterback in 2027. But it's just like the argument that you make all the time when I say go with Shador, and if he, fails, then whatever. They want to establish winning just the way that we do, right? They want that winning culture and that winning whatever. So I think we can both agree that Aaron Glenn has 0 chance of being the head coach of this team if he has another year like last year. If they have a top 3 pick going into next year and it's because they earned it with a bad record, he's gone. He's absolutely out. So it's going to be a tough sell on him to, not go get a veteran quarterback and not make moves.
The only difference is that the Browns have way more in place that you want to succeed, whereas the Jets don't. Like, they don't have a whole lot of stuff that's like concrete. That they have the tackles, but Breece Hall is going to be dangled as a trade piece. Like these are the questions where you sit there going, how much is really there for the Jets to sort of like, we want to learn to win. And Demario Davis is exactly that. He is a culture guy. He's a tone setter like that. He is there to whip people into shape. Clearly.
Well, Pete, think about it like this though. What is the easier side of the ball for a quick fix and a quick turnaround? To me, it's defense, right? Offense, you need certain positions, right? You preferably want chemistry. You want to play together a lot. You want everybody on the same page, everything like that. Defense is a lot of see ball, get ball. You know what I mean? So it's like if you're going to make a quick turnaround, the defensive side is going to be easier to do. So while the Browns have a better defense, absolutely, it's no question. I feel like the Jets have far more on offense. The bookend tackles, the number 1 receiver, a number 1 running back, and a traditional inline NFL level tight end. I mean, this isn't a bad team at all. I feel like the Jets are more poised for a turnaround this year than the Browns are, to be perfectly honest with you. Because not only do we have to hope our quarterback can play, but we have to find a left tackle. We have to hope that this patchwork line can play together and, get chemistry together. We got to hope we get lucky in the draft with weapons. The Jets have all these things already set in stone.
How married are they to Garrett Wilson is a question. Because obviously he did not play well last year, and obviously most of that was the quarterback. But nevertheless, how married are they to that? Your point, Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor's a nice player. Yeah, they have Mason Taylor's a nice player. They have the tackles who are nice players. But again, I still think the Browns have more entrenched because they have guys like Harold Fannin. They have Quinshon Judkins. They have these other things that they want to succeed. Like they do not want of all the positions you want to take. Yeah, just throwing rookies and second-year running backs into the meat grinder makes no sense. So, yeah, we'll see. The Jets will still screw this up because that's what they are. But it is curious. But that's where I'm sort of like, that's why I wish the Browns could have gotten that, because you're saying all the things I am. Like Geno Smith thrives with guys who can win after the catch. Yeah. Jerry Jeudy can win after the catch. Harold Fannin can win after the catch. Mekhi Lemon, where they to draft him, thrives after the catch. Like these are all things that I think would fit really good. He can command the offense. He can do all those things. And if they get a real line, which they are in process of doing, they can be frisky, and they already have the great defense. So like all of a sudden now you're really interesting. Yeah, no, I agree with that completely. So Tyler Huntley goes back to Baltimore. I thought Tyler Huntley would be a very good veteran to bring in the building along with Shador. There's obviously familiarity because he was with us in the preseason, and there's familiarity with Monken. He was with Monken last year. How about Kenny Pickett going to Carolina? This one I find interesting, and I like it for Kenny Pickett because I don't love Bryce Young. And I feel like that's a good team that position could be, at least an opportunity at some point for him to step in and, get some hopefully good film and maybe, change the narrative of his career there. Yeah. So one, I mean, the Carolina Panthers sort of made it known that they wanted to get younger backup quarterback. I thought Anthony Richardson might be a good spot for them, but yeah, I mean, Kenny Pickett can go there. At some point, he will probably get on the field, so he gets an opportunity from that standpoint. Theoretically, Andy Dalton's going to be cut or something. I don't know if he's going to simply retire or if he's going to say, try to go somewhere else and keep it going. That is an interesting question. But yeah, I mean, Kenny Pickett, 5 teams in like 20 minutes is a pretty crazy ride. But like, I got nothing against them. It was clear the Browns weren't going to revisit that as an option.
Yeah. It's always fun to think about how things would have gone last year and how things would have gone for Kenny Pickett had he stayed healthy in camp and had he started the year as the starter. I mean, I don't think it would have changed much about the outcome of the season. Just interesting to think about. All right, so we've got 3 big names that are still on the market, right? And Kyler Murray is probably, at least for us, the most notable. The other 2 are Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins. Now, I feel like Rodgers is Pittsburgh or retirement, right? And then Kyler Murray, everybody's leaning towards Minnesota, but I feel like Kirk Cousins is also kind of an outside shot at angling back to Minnesota. I'm trying to think, like, where are these guys going to end up? Like, I mean, you could argue maybe Arizona to push Jacoby Brissett.
I hope so. Please, please,
go.
One of you go to Arizona so I can have Jacoby back.
Yeah.
Well, the Steelers are apparently a possibility for Kirk Cousins. That may be the other thing they're weighing against Aaron Rodgers and obviously Kyler Murray, though it doesn't seem like Kyler Murray is going to end up there. We'll see. It makes sense for Kyler Murray to go there. Again, you've got DK Metcalf. You just add Michael Pittman. You've got the tight ends. You've got now these backs. You've got now a little bit more to address on the offensive line, losing Sayamalo and questions at left tackle. But there's a lot that you could sit there and go, okay, the offense is going to work if we just get good, decent quarterback play. Now, they may have a particular style they want. Mike McCarthy may be like, right, that Kyler Murray is not for me. So maybe that's part of it. Kirk Cousins could also be a factor in Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers could theoretically be an option for Minnesota. I mean, he tried to make himself an option for Minnesota last year.
He did.
And then the other thing for Kirk Cousins, which is the sort of outside chance, which I don't think is going to happen, but would be interesting, is if Kyle Shanahan, who has been eyeballing this dude for a decade, his dad loved him too. If they go, hey, we can get Kirk Cousins and we're going to quickly move Mac Jones somewhere.
Yeah.
Please not here. That they get to move Mac Jones, get a pick, and bring in a veteran quarterback they absolutely love, could run their offense and be really good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of upside for them to do that. Now, Kirk Cousins may not love that opportunity because he may want to go start for Pittsburgh or Minnesota. But if Pittsburgh goes, yeah, we're going to go with Aaron Rodgers, and if Minnesota goes, yeah, we're going to go with Kyler Murray, and Kirk Cousins just sitting there, he may sit there and go, yeah, San Francisco looks great, great weather, and all these other elements. And at some point, Brock Purdy's going to get hurt, and I'm going to get to be the hero in this offense.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense, and it'd be good for San Francisco. They've got plenty of holes to fill. They could use the draft pick capital that you would get from Mac Jones, that you would assume that they would get from Mac Jones. That is, to me, that's a very interesting situation. I feel like if Mac Jones were on the open market, he would get probably a decent deal. He would probably get a lot of action. I don't know that you're going to get somebody to trade draft capital for Mac Jones to give him the opportunity. That's the one thing that I think people are interested. I think having to trade for the opportunity to take that chance, I don't know if people are going to do it. At least not like a legitimately high pick.
Well, this is the problem. If you trade a 3rd round pick for Mac Jones, you can just play out the contract and see how it works.
Yeah.
And negotiate from there. Now, Mac Jones may not be thrilled about that. I mean, he's basically said, I'm ready to be a starter and all this, which begs the question, why the hell did you sign there in the first place?
Yeah.
But the other part is if you trade a 2nd round pick, you are extending him. You are not going to play him on that contract and then risk it. You're giving him that much
before he takes a snap.
You are going to sign to a contract extension. And this is the thing I do not want to do. I don't want to trade 39th pick for Mac Jones. And I certainly don't want to sign to a contract extension. It just seems like Kevin Kolbing this thing or AJ feeling this thing or Hoyt Detmer those type of guys where I sit there and go, look, man, I get that maybe he's going to be an okay quarterback and everybody's going to go, well, look at what Sam Darnold did. I have to look at Joe Burrow twice a year or some amount of times a year, depending if he's healthy. I have to look at Lamar Jackson some amount of times a year, depending if he's healthy. I'm not going to win that battle by bringing Mac Jones to the fight. Like, I need to get a quarterback that can sort of operate in their world. And that is never going to be Mac Jones. And that's not to say he can't be functional in the right situation, all these things, as San Francisco is sort of demonstrating.
Yeah.
But George Kittle is not coming with him. Like, all those guys are not coming. Kyle Shanahan is not coming with him. Todd Monken may be a great offensive coach, but I want if that's the case, I want Todd Monken to get one of these superpowered dudes and make that the thing. I want him to basically get a guy and figure out whatever his version of Lamar Jackson offense is for that guy. And that's not to say it has to be a running quarterback, but you get what I mean. Like the superhuman guy, and then build a prolific offense around him. I don't want him taking middling talent and being like, yeah, I can get this guy to get us to 9-8. Great. I want to contend. And to do that, and you and I have agreed on this for a long time, you got to get a dude. You got to get a guy where people are like, that guy scares me the second he enters the building, not, well, this guy's really good in his system and all this other stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And I feel like that ultimately was the problem that we saw with Baker Mayfield, right? And that's ultimately the problem that you have when you have these one-dimensional guys. Look, when you are playing, when you're in the playoffs and you're going against a playoff level defense and they're coming at you, you need that extra stuff in your bag. You need that athleticism. You need that superhuman ability to make plays out of structure and beat a defense by yourself. You don't have to do it every snap. Nobody wants their quarterback playing hero ball all game. But the guys that can throw on that cape when they need to are the elite of the elite for a reason. And I think that's all we want. We want the closest marriage to a guy who can efficiently run the offense and a guy who's got talent coming out of his ears. Like that's what you want. You want to be able to run a legitimate NFL offense, but also make plays when you got to make plays.
Right. And, we'll see what happens with this upcoming draft class. Obviously, we did this dance with 2026 where we thought it was going to be really good, and it hasn't panned out. But like I sit there, and obviously everybody's looking at Arch Manning. I look at Jaden Mayava, and I go, I love what that guy does, because he does so much of what Caleb Williams does. Mm-hmm. And as I said throughout the playoffs, like Caleb Williams was the protagonist of the playoffs. Like he was the main character of the whole postseason. Every game, you're like, I don't know if he's going to win or lose, but he's going to be the guy that's going to sort of, I want to see what he does. And, that has some good and bad with it. Obviously there were some bad plays with what he does. He's inconsistent. But man, he can just beat you. And he did it. He did it multiple times throughout that, where you're just going like, at the end of the game, the Chicago Bears had Caleb Williams and you didn't. And that was it. Mm-hmm. Like that became the difference. And like, that's where I'm sitting here going, I want one of those. And, this leads people to go, well, then the Browns need a tank. I don't agree with that. But like, I understand the thought process. I cannot ask this team to lose again. I cannot ask this fan base to just be like, screw it, we're losing again. But like, that's where I'm sort of at. If it's Mayava, if it's one of these other guys, like, not that I think he's developed in that, but you can talk yourself into being like Sorsby, who's going to be at Texas Tech, I think, this year. After being in Cincinnati, you're like, oh my God, like the tools that he has, these guys, you sit there and you go, you can talk yourself into that stuff. So Mac Jones ain't getting there for me. And look, if obviously they're different quarterbacks, but like, I would like to hope that, Todd Monken can get Mac Jones or something nearing Mac Jones level play out of Shedeur Sanders with the other stuff in place. Now that's a big ask, but like, that's what I'm sort of hoping for rather than taking the plunge on Mac Jones.
Yeah. Which look, it makes sense because you're not wrong. If you're paying anything above a third round pick, it's coming with an extension. If I were going to throw a hypothetical to you, Pete, because I could see something in a scenario where, say, the Browns traded a third rounder and a conditional fifth in 2027 for Mac Jones, and they gave him the same 2-year deal essentially that the Dolphins gave Malik Willis, which basically gave you your starter for this year And then he's under contract for 1 more year. So if you have to draft the guy next year, you at least don't have to throw him to the Wolves, and he can ease into things. Would that catch any interest from you, or are you just out on Mac Jones regardless?
I'm just not interested in that.
It doesn't intrigue you though, because he's a nuanced passer, Pete. He spreads the football around really well. And look at our boy Brian Thomas Jr. Looked like he was all world catching the ball from Mac Jones. And then you got Trevor Lawrence, who, just 4 years ago was God's gift to quarterback prospects, and they just can't get on the same page. I don't think Lawrence is as good a passer.
He's not.
That's the one thing I'll give Mac Jones. He can throw the ball, man.
He's not, but given the choice, who are teams going to bet on? Who are teams going to try to make it work with? They're going to try to make it work with the Trevor Lawrence type guy before the Mac Jones type guy. Although, he went as high as he did. But nevertheless, maybe part of it's because of the play and all these other things. I sit here and go, you need somebody who's going to elevate the talent around him, not just fit in the system that they play in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, let's bounce around the division, right? Baltimore had definitely more with the Max Crosby trade, but now that has been voided, all Baltimore's done is sign John Simpson to come back and play guard. They've lost Draymond Jones, Alohi Gilman, Isaiah Likely, Charlie Kohler, Tyler Linderbaum. Baltimore has suffered some losses, man. And now that they don't, I know that you're unhappy the Max Crosby deal fell through because you wanted him out of 2027.
Well, it gets worse. It gets worse because the belief is that they did this so they can just sign Trey Hendrickson and keep the picks.
Yeah. So the word is though that he failed his physical,
which you can do to anyone.
Yeah.
This is the trick. If you get cold feet or you decide, hey, there's this better option, you can find a way to fail a physical.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that the Raiders put out a social media tweet saying the Ravens backed out of the trade. So, I mean, they didn't say anything about the medical stuff. So maybe you're right. Maybe that's Baltimore just being shysters.
Yes, there's an element to this where it just seems like this was and this is the problem with this tampering period or the trade being made theoretically before the start of the league year because you can't process it.
Yep.
That you get to just sort of hang out there. And the Raiders are out there yep, we've got 14th pick. We've got an extra first round next year. We're going to sign all these guys because Mac Crosby's going to be off our books and all this stuff. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, crap. Now we have to figure this thing out. Now, ultimately, they can still probably find somebody who's going to take Mac Crosby, but it may diminish what they get in return. So they're going to understandably be pissed. And the Ravens seemingly have just gamed the system. Now, what impact is that going to have? I don't know, other than seemingly the rest of the league is pissed at them. But there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of recourse. Now, I suggest that the league take away those first-round picks as punishment.
You give them to Cleveland. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Look, I just feel like there's a level of justice that needs to be set the tone here. Take away their picks and just say, get out. But this is probably what's going to happen. And my whole thing with the Max Crosby trade, as I said at the time, he's a terrific player. Yeah. But to not have 14th pick, to not have a first-round pick in 2027, and the Ravens have more holes now than they have had in the last few years.
A long time.
They got John Simpson. He was not very good with the Jets, but he's been pretty good with the Ravens for them. That plugs one hole. That's probably going to replace Buechele. They are still got to figure out what they're going to do at center. Tyler Linderbaum is a huge hole they've got to fill. That is obviously a big issue for them. But all their tight ends that aren't Mark Andrews now are gone. So they have issues from there. Alohi Gilman is a sneaky big loss for them because he's been a really good player. And obviously they traded him, traded to get him. And, in the deal to get it where they send Odafe Owe, who then signed with Washington for an astronomical amount of money. They still have questions to answer at corner. They have questions at linebacker because Roquan Smith is not $20 million worth of player at this point. He
is not.
Other than when he played Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco's like, here you go, be a superstar. He just did not look good, and their other linebacker wasn't very good. So they just have a lot of questions. So now if you get Trey Hendrickson and that first-round pick back,
Yeah,
we'll see what Trey Hendrickson can do. Obviously, he's got to stay healthy and all those things, but he's a really good player. Staying in the division is annoying from that standpoint, and then potentially being able to draft a lineman or Mekhi Lemon that just drives me insane. I have to deal with twice a year, whatever. It just gives them another player that they get to utilize in that. So I still think the Ravens have a lot of work to do. Their roster overall is becoming more top heavy and this is sort of how they've operated anyway, but like they're really top heavy. They go as far as Lamar Jackson goes, which is true of most quarterbacks or most teams with their franchise quarterbacks. Kyle Hamilton, superstar. If Matt Buechele can come back and be a great player, he's a really good player. Yeah. If they get Trey Hendrickson, he's a really good player. Derrick Henry, we'll see what he still has left, but like then you get to those the next level of guys, and you start to see a real drop off where they're not quite as good. They've got some rookies or some young players they need to sort of see if they can be good, like Nate Wiggins. Can he be that guy? Are they going to move on from Marlon Humphrey? Do they have somebody else in the building who could step at that other corner spot? Do they have another edge rusher? Are they going to try to bring back Kyle Van Noy again, who's been a really good role player for them? Yeah. But like you sort of see where the problems are. Offensive line questions I already mentioned, the tight ends, whatever. Like there's things.
Let me just say though, I mean obviously like having the 14th pick, having the extra cap space if you don't sign Hendrickson, and then obviously the 2027 first rounder, like those all help. But like if you're talking about just this year, you get worse by not having Max Crosby and using your first round pick. Like Max Crosby makes them better in the immediate, right? So them not getting Crosby and keeping the picks, while long term it's probably not what we want, it's better short term. Maybe they will be a much better team with Max Crosby on that than without. If they get Hendrickson, that'll balance things out.
Well, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
That's my one caveat. If they don't get Hendrickson and they just like lose out on this trade, I'm very happy. But if they keep their picks and get Hendrickson, that's a pile of.
Would really like Buffalo to somehow come out of nowhere and be like, "Yep, we're bringing him in," and the Ravens are just screwed. That would be great. Or some hero to come out here. Andrew Berry, maybe it's you. I don't care. I don't want to see Trent. It's not like Jerry Hendrickson is really carved up the Browns necessarily. He's a really, really good pass rusher, and the Browns have a question at left tackle. But
that's exactly what Baltimore needs.
The exact. The Ravens have some ungodly number of games where they've been up 2 scores in the fourth quarter and lost. Mm-hmm. Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson are there for one reason. The same reason the Browns have Myles Garrett. They are closers. They end the football game. Like you don't get those 2 points. You may not get to come back from that 2-score game because Trey Hendrickson may have put you on the ground or Myles Garrett just ended the game. Any number of times that the Browns have won games where Myles Garrett's just like, no, we're done. So clearly that is something they're trying to address. But that's where it becomes really annoying. And I'll be curious to see how the fallout with this, because it just seems incredibly fishy in a way that, of course, is going to benefit the division rival the Browns have to deal with.
Of course.
Plus, I've always said this, like the Ravens are one of the teams who enjoys favored nation status as an organization in the league. They get away with a good amount that other teams may not have. For example, and I will cite this real quick as a good example, they were one of the teams that seemingly got nailed for violating COVID rules, and nothing ever happened. But there have been just issues, like even the Ray Rice stuff. Stuff just does not stick to them in a way that, like, clearly this is a mess. And like the league just, as I said, they enjoyed favored nation status.
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely. All right. Well, staying in division, bouncing over, let's talk about Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati had a nice day. So obviously it's, free agency hasn't even officially kicked off yet, but I really like Boye Mafe, and I think Brian Cook's a good signing too. I think that's 2 good moves for that team.
I am not happy to see Boye Mafe in the division. I was happy to see Joseph Asai leave, but Boye Mafe is a good football player.
Yeah, he is.
And that's annoying because, like, I agree with you. I think it's a really strong move. And Brian Cook is everything Geno Stone was, except he tackles better, which is huge for them. And
it's a win. Hell yeah.
I've sort of, I guess, overestimated their secondary. I think of a lot of it comes back to the line of scrimmage, honestly. I think they have more talent in the secondary than like their defense is allowed to showcase because they are so bad on the D line. Yeah. And obviously not having Hendrickson for a lot of last year exacerbated it. But ever since they lost DJ Reader, that team has been a shell of itself on defense because they have DJ Turner, who's a really interesting cornerback. They've got a couple really interesting safety combo players like Dax Hill and stuff, which you're like, these guys should have real nice roles. And you sit there and you go, there's a lot of nice athletes back there. If they can just do enough up front, that could be really interesting. Now, this does lead into my theory that they're going to take Caleb Banks at 10 because like that's the one thing they need. But yeah, like I just think there's really strong moves. I'll be curious to see if they can add to it. If they can get a plugger in there like Dalvin Thompson, please do not go to Cincinnati. That would be really annoying. But because they've got some stuff there where you could sit there and go, I can see where this works. Now, I think they need more pieces, but if they fill in with draft picks that can like come in and not be complete disasters as rookies for reasons that are both the player's fault and the team's, that would help. They got basically nothing on their top 2 round picks last year. Demetrius Knight was terrible. They took the pass rusher who I said was going to be bad, and he was bad. So they've got possibility there, and losing Trent Williams will be huge. I think Boye Mafe fixes a lot, and we'll see if they can keep that going. But I thought they've had a smart free agency period to this point.
Well, it's so funny because I thought I liked Boye Mafe better than Owe. And they went after him first and got outbid. And then their fallback plan was Boye Mafe, which, I mean, good for you. You basically like luck into having to pay less money for a better player. But it's going to be interesting to see if they can catch up this defense. Because look, if you plug in a strong defensive tackle, maybe another edge rusher in round 2, this defense gets interesting. It does, especially if Knight can take a step. I mean, look, I know you said he was bad last year, but he was a rookie on a bad defense. It's real easy for that guy to not have great numbers. What's that?
And he's 24. Don't draft old guys.
I know. I know he's old, and I know.
I would just say contrast with what the Bengals and Browns did in round 2. Carson Sweatshirt to Demetrius Knight. That's got to sting. It's got to sting. Yeah. Now, obviously, they didn't have a chance. Carson Sweatshirt.
Exactly. At least we took him first. You act like we took him instead.
Well, it's like you go. The division's funny. The one time the Browns seemingly have gotten this thing right. Carson Sweatshirt, superstar type player. Bengals take Demetrius Knight. To this point, has been disappointing. Browns take Quinshon Judkins, who looks really good. Steelers take Caleb Johnson, who lost them a football game on kickoff return. Things are turning around. That's
how Andrew Berry kept his job, baby.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Let's talk Pittsburgh now. Obviously, both Pittman Jr. trade. What did they trade for Pittman? He got a 3-year, $59 million deal. I didn't see the terms though.
Oh, they traded a 6th for a 7th.
Stop it.
Yeah, they gave it to him basically for free. That's why I'm so bitter about this. It's not like, the Steelers gave up a 3rd round pick for him. No, they gave up they basically stole from the Browns playbook and just said, you want to give away a receiver? We'll take him and give him a bunch of extra money, and he will be our number 2 receiver on our team. He'll be a very nice cog in our offense, and we will immediately be better. Thank you.
Pete, I'm not even joking. I saw that they traded for him, was so annoyed, I did look into it, just assumed that it was like a 3rd, maybe a 4th. They did a late round pick swap, and they got Michael Pittman for that?
Yes, this is why I'm very angry at the Colts. And the difference here, obviously, is Michael Pittman, he's 28. It's not as young as Jerry Jeudy was, but he's not Amari Cooper either. I guess he's right where Amari Cooper was, basically. Or for free.
Free agency starts tomorrow. Why is Andrew Berry not, hey, Indy, you want a 5th?
That's true. That's true.
Well, hey, this happened a week ago with the David Montgomery trade. The original trade came out, and it was like for like a 6th round pick. and then like I don't know, somebody got in Detroit's ear or
They did.
whatever it was, but that turned into a 4th and a 7 and a lineman real quick.
And it made Ian Rappaport look like an absolute dope, even though he was right.
Yeah.
Because Ian Rappaport came out, it was going to be a 5th-round pick. And Ian Rappaport goes, the David Montgomery's going to go to the Texans for a 5th-round pick. And then it came out 4th, and then they were sending a 7th back. And then he see, that equates to 5th-round value. And he couldn't, either he couldn't or wouldn't just say, yeah, they can't, like a team came in late and tried to, go higher on this, and they had to respond. But that's clearly what happened is somebody came in late and said, no, we'll give you more than that. And then they managed to get a 4th. And I don't know why the Texans did that, because my whole thing is like, if you're the Texans, and it's, again, pisses me off because it benefits the Steelers. Why didn't you just sign Rico Dowdle? He's the same player.
Yeah.
So again, benefits the Steelers that they get Rico Dowdle on a very reasonable contract to do the exact thing that the Texans need David Montgomery to be: power back, score near the goal line, all that stuff, short yardage, all that.
Just be a good power complement to Woody Marks.
Right. Yeah. So like all of this again works to the benefit of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But yes, processing fee essentially for Michael Pittman, 28 years old, 3-year deal for $60 million, which is basically the going rate for which is
for
fine.
A number 2 wide receiver.
For a number 2 wide receiver who's going to allow DK Metcalf to do more of the things that DK Metcalf is good at, and allow Michael Pittman to do the dirty work, to take that off his plate, where you still have tight ends. You still have Pat Freiermuth. You still have Darnell Washington. You have these running backs. You still have questions on the line of scrimmage still. But
and you have 2 long, rangy, physically imposing wide receivers on the outside. And that noise.
So quarterback is still going to be a big question for them. Are they going to have enough? But like if they get reasonable quarterback play, like the Steelers will be fine. Yeah. And it's just going to come down to the other element, which I did not enjoy about the Steelers, although I don't, wasn't a great deal by any stretch. Then they signed Jamel Dean to play corner, so that this has its own sort of two-way impact, because they also re-signed Asante Samuel. And at the end of last year, Asante Samuel, I think, was playing on the boundary. Now, Asante Samuel gets to go into the slot because they lose James Pierre, which I'm sure they're heartbroken over. So now Asante Samuel goes in the slot. They've got Jamel Dean on the outside, and they've got Joey Porter Jr. on the other side. Now, they still probably have some questions they want to answer at safety, and there's still talk that they might trade Patrick Queen to the Cowboys, which Cowboys, don't you dare. Don't help them out. Make him pay all $13 million, because I said at the time that contract was stupid. Yeah. And Patrick Queen's never going to live up to it. He hasn't. And if you're just thinking of guys who are on the Steelers defense, how long before you get to Patrick Queen you're like, this is a guy I got to worry about? Forever?
Yeah, at least 5 names.
So like just a terrible contract for them. They cannot find inside linebacker help to save their lives, which is just crazy to me. So they are theoretically going to be in a really good spot if they can just tweak a few things. Obviously, quarterback's the biggest thing, and fixing the rest of the line. But like, they're in a really good spot to be sneaky competitive in Mike McCarthy's debut. Credit to them. I think in the division, other than the chicanery the Ravens seem to be pulling, they've crushed it in terms of things I just think are rock solid moves that aren't going to get a whole lot of attention, that are just good football moves.
Yeah. And, it's going to be interesting too, what this team does because you look at a year from now, and say Rodgers does come back, you would almost assuredly think he's going to retire at the end of the season. Cam Hayward's probably on his way out. TJ Watt will be, deeper into his deal, and who knows where the play would be. So he's going to be, a trade candidate, if not a cut candidate. I mean, this team's getting old very quick, but they do seem like they have more than enough this year to make a serious run. And they probably, if they do get Aaron Rodgers back, I mean, I'm going to be hard pressed to find another team that would be the leader for the division race walking into things. Like the Ravens have so many holes at this point. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But Pittsburgh's very viable.
Yeah, I mean, how does this impact them in the draft? Are they gonna try to be more aggressive, or do they really believe in the Ohio State kid as a real future? Or are they trying to wait till 2027 like everybody else?
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, that's obviously going to be the limiting factor. Aaron Rodgers can go so far, but at some point he's going to die on the field. Ambulance is going to drive out there and not be able to resuscitate him, potentially at the hands of Myles Garrett. We'll see. But other than that, like, you sit there and you look at it, you go, they are just a really, really solid team right now, and we're not even to the draft yet.
Yeah. We haven't even gotten to free agency yet. Before free agency even started, they've already pissed us off. Any particular team standing out with making moves that you would agree with? Anybody that you're like, wow, they substantially improved their team in a very short period, and they're going to be a bit of a factor moving forward. I mean, I've got your big spenders. You're looking at the Titans, the Colts, if you factor in how much money. Chiefs have spent some money. Raiders, Patriots, Saints, Giants, Jets. Anybody standing out? Tennessee signed a lot of people, but I don't know if they moved the needle.
Yeah. So let's start there. The two teams who are in very fourth place made moves. A lot of moves. I think some of the things Tennessee did were okay. The John Franklin Myers deal, I think, is a good one. They continue to pile on these exorbitant receiver contracts on guys who just aren't that good. Now they can afford it because Cam Ward is on a rookie deal.
Yeah,
and they just need something there. But and you know, that division is not bulletproof. They could there's a world where you can talk yourself into them getting to third, but they're not making the playoffs. I wouldn't think. Whereas the Raiders, whatever is going to happen with this whole Max Crosby situation, they are way in fourth, and they have made a whole bunch of moves, which are still going to put them squarely in fourth.
Yeah.
So, and it's not that they're bad moves necessarily, although I have questions on some of those things. It's just their division is awful. It's awful. Because the Denver Broncos haven't had to do much, haven't done much, haven't had to. And the team I think that has done the best, other than one move, is the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The only move I don't like is bringing back Travis Kelce, and I'm not going to sit there and hammer them for it because I completely understand it. Everything else, I'm sitting there going, Kenneth Walker, though not big factor in the passing game, which I do think is a real limitation.
Yeah.
Given that you have Patrick Mahomes, but Aloy Gilman was an awesome signing to me.
Yep.
Getting the receiver help back in the one speedy dude that they have. Smart. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the Chiefs have done a really smart job with their signings that like position them to attack the draft however they want. Now, I still think pass rusher is still their primary concern.
Yeah.
But you could easily
they got 9 and 29 and 42. They've got 3 picks in the top 42.
You could easily talk yourself into being like, oh, they're just gonna take a receiver and just give them more weapons. Like they could do something crazy or bring. They've got the line basically covered. I think they feel good moving from Jawan Taylor to one of the old Oklahoma State tackles. I think. I can't remember his name. Whatever. They move on Jawan Taylor. They're okay. They're not like, we've got to address offensive line.
Yeah.
So they're going to be okay there. So now they get to just pick toys. Now, I still think pass rusher is going to be one of those things that they have to do because if it's not Chris Jones, it has not worked.
Yeah.
So they need more there. Now, that is obviously a big question, but if Patrick Mahomes comes back healthy, and I guess they may be linked into this whole Trent Williams trade potential stuff, whatever. But whatever, they feel like they're operating from a position of strength. They're a really good team. Like people were talking about with getting Jeremiah Love. That's clearly not going to be a thing.
Yeah.
But they could get a receiver. They can get more pass rush. They can just do whatever they want and feel really good about it and just keep adding. Like, not that I think it's going to happen, but like they could go nuts and take Kenyon Sadiq at 9.
I was just going to say.
Would be like greatest pick ever, even though, you know, I think that's an unjustifiable pick, but like they're in a position where they could take that risk.
Yeah. So I feel like the Chiefs are going to be looking at a wide receiver, right? Because Rashee Rice has more legal stuff on the horizon. Marquise Brown's a free agent now. They are a potential landing spot for a Carnell Tate or a Mekhi Lemon or a Jordan Tyson. What would you think about? Okay, how about this for a scenario? What about Caleb Downs? I'm not Caleb Downs. Caleb Banks. Putting him in a locker room next to Chris Jones and just saying, "Hey, be a sponge.
It's the same concept where you're just like, we're the Chiefs. We're gonna put it right on the table and say, okay, try and stop us. You have to deal with this now." A hugely risky selection, but you could absolutely see the thought process where you're just like, he's 6'6" or whatever it is, 335 pounds, long arms, crazy flashes, and you're just like, yeah, you got to deal with this. Same concept with the Bengals. I mean, I'd rather the Chiefs do it because they don't have to see it as often.
Out of division.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's where the Chiefs become this ultimate wild card of just like, yep, we're going to do this, and you have to deal with it, and everybody else has to sort of try to find a way around it. And that's a great place for them to be at. So, yeah, you get to play all these fun scenarios where if it's Kenyon Sadiq, if it's Caleb Banks, if it's Carnell Tate, if it's whatever, and you're just like, yep, we're going to do this thing. Or if, Reuben Baines slips the 9 because of his arms or something, and you're like, yep, they get to take that player and be in a great spot. Now, this could be a situation where the Chiefs do the thing where Jonathan Taylor's sitting there waiting for them, going, "Yeah, please, I can make your team a dynasty, and you take Clyde Edwards-Helaire." But I don't necessarily think that's a likely scenario where they're going to just whiff on this selection again.
It's so funny because like hindsight is always 20/20, but son of a bitch, they missed that one bad.
Just staring at them, going, "Hi, I'm your dynasty," and you're just
am so good.
Little guy.
You should draft me.
Move out of the way, 215-pound stud. I want the little guy behind you.
Yeah, about 5'9", 200 pounds, 4'6", but he's a receiving back.
But when you're the Chiefs and you've won 3 Super Bowls, you get to like do that. Like, this is the stuff that would just live in my nightmares as a Browns fan for forever.
Yeah. Well, and you got to think about the run that Edwards-Helaire went on. So he went 16-0 with LSU and then went to the Chiefs. That's a sweet little milk run.
Yeah, he was like the worst guy on the LSU offense, and then gets to go win Super Bowls. It just has absolutely crushed it.
So how about second year in a row, New England has thrown around a lot of money, but I got to tell you, I don't love the Dobbs move, although I like Romeo Dobbs.
I do not.
Vera Tucker is more than I would want to spend, but he is so good. And if he's healthy, he, in my opinion, is an elite offensive lineman.
Okay,
if he's healthy, though, it's the biggest if ever.
Sam Howell's a Eagle, or going to be a Cowboy. So yeah.
Wait, what's that now?
Sam Howell is apparently agreeing to join the Cowboys. So we're out of
okay. So I got to tell you, Pete,
guys in the parking lot are going to be trying out for this job. So anyway, to your point, say that again.
Vera Tucker.
Oh, yeah.
Really, I like the signing. It's just
I hate everything the Patriots are doing. I hate I hate all of it. It should not work. It's awful. And they have money to spend. They're just throwing it around on players that are not that good. Romeo Dobbs is not a $20 million receiver in any world. And most people describe him as a number 3. And you're paying him $20 million. Like, it's just another deal where you sit there and go, there's no way he can justify this contract. They obviously got away with whatever Stephon Diggs was able to do last year, and it worked out. And then they immediately got the hell out of Dodge, which is probably smart on their part. But that is a glaring hole for them still, even with Romeo Dobbs. Elijah Vera Tucker, I guess there's a little bit more that is sort of protected than the initial read was as reported, because I'm with you. $14 million a year is too much for 3 years or 2 years or whatever it ends up being. I was hoping to be like, a 1-year deal, or basically the Elgton Jenkins deal.
Yeah.
And so as much as I would have liked Vera Tucker because he's been very good when healthy, I was like, okay, fine. But it just feels like a lot to spend on these players. And like they got the dude, Draymond Jones, who I'm sure he seems to be a lovely human being. There's a lot of fans of him. He's not that good. And they're paying him like $15 million a year. It's like they just keep throwing money at this. And I just keep looking at this. At some point, this thing is going to end badly for them.
Yeah, now, but they wound up in the freaking Super Bowl. And I agree with you. I agree with you. I remember in August arguing that, yes, the Browns receivers are bad, but have you seen what the Patriots are rolling out? I remember arguing that in August.
Yeah. No, I mean, they have a phenomenal quarterback, and obviously they benefit from having a terrible schedule and then the luckiest playoff draw they could get. But they got to the Super Bowl. I cannot hate on them, and they did great. But I still think these moves are going to catch. Maybe they will figure a way out, and they'll manipulate the cap and all these things. But it just feels like they've got a whole lot of bad decisions that are ultimately going to come to fruition and bite them at some point. Obviously, like it starts with the fact that Drake May is awesome, and the rest of that draft class is nothing.
Yeah.
And we'll see with some of the other stuff. I think Will Campbell will be fine. They moved Jared Wilson to center, which is probably the better place for him.
Yeah.
And those picks look, I think, solid, but like still, I still sit here. And the other part about that is like, and I will be prepared to look the fool again. I think New England's going to have a really difficult time getting back to not the Super Bowl. I think they will have a really difficult time making the playoffs this year.
I agree with that completely. I feel like New England is the Washington Commanders of a year ago. They came off a year where everything broke the right way, where they generally caught people off guard, right? And then the reality is the NFL kind of evened out on them, and the ball didn't bounce away this year. They didn't stay healthy this year. So New England's absolutely a candidate to have a serious fallback. But like you said, though, their quarterback is phenomenal. And that's always going to keep you above water.
Yeah, and look, if Will Campbell gets better and healthier, obviously he was playing hurt.
And he should. He should. He's a kid, and he was young. He was only 20.
Yes, which goes to show. Anyway, and Drake may get better. Like there's all these things where you can sit there and you can go, these guys can all get better. But I hate their approach to free agency. I just cannot stand it. And so we'll see what happens. And I could absolutely be eating it again because I thought they're going to be a fourth place team last year.
Yeah.
Or I should say third place. I probably had the Jets dead last.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think we all did. All right. So as it stands right now, right, we can pencil in 4 of the 5 starting offensive line positions, right? And then left tackle, we can just kind of throw DeJuan Jones in there.
I got 3 guys. I got 3 starters in there right now.
You got 3 starters.
That's it. I got 3.
You have Tevin as just
he's a guy.
Yeah, I got you.
Not to say he can't. This is why I wanted Tevin Jenkins, because he can be a starting guard, but he just, unfortunately, his body breaks out. Like he missed a bunch of time with the shoulder. There were games he was going in injured, and then basically got to a point where could not go anymore.
Yeah,
it sucks. If he could have a fully healthy season, he could be a starter. But and maybe that's what happens. But to me, if I'm the Browns, I'm still out there hunting. But it's the dream scenario, because if let's say you put Jenkins at center, Elgton Jenkins at center, and you put Zion Johnson at right guard, and or left guard, it really doesn't matter. And you sit there and you go, yeah, we got Tevin Jenkins, but if you go to the second round and you draft Chase Besantis may just win the job, and that's great. That's exactly what I want to have happen. Is that guy?
But the point of me saying this is that essentially, whereas it's not set in stone, but the starting lineup is far more respectful today than it was a week ago, is what I'm saying. You've got Tevin Jenkins at right guard instead of Zach Sinter. You've got Titus Howard at right tackle instead of KT Leviston. You've got Zion Johnson at left guard instead of, I don't even know who it would be at this point. And then obviously Luke Whippler's backing up Elgton Jenkins. So it's just I like that they raised the floor. And now that they've raised the floor, and we obviously still need 1 tackle for the starting lineup, does it change anything about the draft? Or does it just further emphasize your want for a wide receiver at 6, and then you figure out the other line position at 24?
Yeah, nothing has changed for me.
Yeah.
I still want to get a receiver at 6, and I still desperately want Caleb Lomu to be sitting there waiting for me at 24.
Well, let
Is
me
that
ask you
realistic?
this.
I don't know. But like people keep projecting him to go even later than that, which fine.
Yeah.
But
I saw one. I saw a mock that
39.
had him going like 41 or 42.
Like, yeah. So I am full steam ahead as far as I'm concerned. Like, because part of this is like, I baked some of this in. Like, my expectation was that the Browns were going to do these things. And look, the other part of it was like, I didn't expect the Browns were going to go in and like draft a guard at 6. They could theoretically do that at 24, but even then, like, I don't think that was necessarily going to be like a high value option for them. I thought they were going to go into this thing and go, we need to get the high value pieces. And part of that should be informed by what's happening with some of these teams.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Ravens knocked it out of the park in selecting Tyler Linderbaum for the most part. Like, Creed Humphrey would be a slightly better option, but Creed Humphrey went in round 2. I'm just saying in terms of you make the pick, you pick center, and you're going, we got a great center. And 4 years later, you're just letting him walk after a first-round pick. Like, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Quay Walker, linebacker for the Green Bay Packers, just walks right to Las Vegas. They took him in the first round. The Detroit Lions are going to be in a situation where they have to decide, and I said this at the time, which is why I hated the draft, even though it sort of worked out for them. They take Jack Campbell and they take Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round. They're going to come up at the same time and be the most unsatisfying contract extensions you have to negotiate or not you're going to have. Whereas if you hit it out of the park on quarterback, obviously, but left tackle, right tackle, wide receiver, these are positions, defensive end, defensive tackle, corner. Like, these are positions you go, yeah, man, I can't wait to sign the extension. There is no hesitation whatsoever. Yeah. And like, those are the picks the Browns desperately need to hit. They need to hit those guys in the first round and be able to come back and go, hopefully in 4 years, and be like, don't even need the 5th-year option. We're just going to go ahead and move right on to the second contract. Yep. And that's why, to me, I've sort of viewed the draft the whole way. Look, and some of this was like, the other part about this is the Browns ran out of things to do on defense. Like, thankfully this past year, I mean, they could do something like take Dylan Thieneman or something at 24. But like, after last year, we're all going, yep, the Browns are going to just absolutely knock it out on offense. They're going to go after this thing. And they took Mason Graham-Carson this year. Like, they have really run out of excuses to not just attack defense. So what are the things that are there? Well, quarterback. I don't see a quarterback other than Fernando Mendoza that should go in the first round.
Yeah.
And then I'm at wide receiver and I'm at offensive tackle. There are guys at both spots. Now it's a matter of just pegging where they make sense. Again, I continue to sit here and go, wide receiver is the play I would make at 6 or trade down and make. And then 24 is where I get that tackle. I think the guys are going to be there. If Caleb Lomu was there, I would run the card up.
Yeah.
He's 20. He apparently turned 21 at the combine. And he's exactly the type of guy you need him to get stronger, and you need his phenomenal feet. And seemingly, obviously we want to see what the Browns are going to do offensively. And this is sort of the question that, like, you and I and everybody else is asking, what does Todd Monken really want to do?
It doesn't look like he wants to run the ball. That's for sure.
You're not the first person.
It does not look like he wants to run the ball.
You're not the first person who has mentioned this to me. Yeah, they got a whole lot of guys who are really good at pass protection and not a whole lot of run production.
Yeah. And this just takes me back to 2 years ago in the playoffs when he refused to give the ball to Derrick Henry. I think we're starting to see what Todd Monken's MO is.
Yeah. Now, having said that, I do think they want to be able to do some power stuff, but they got a whole bunch of athletic linemen.
Yeah.
Like, Zion Johnson is a freak.
Pete, if we're to trust the Pro Football Focus rankings, we have revolving doors in the running game, okay?
Well, like, Titus Howard is not a power guy. He's always been a positional blocker. And if you get Caleb Lomu, he's the same thing. It just sort of fits. Obviously, Freeling is like, the dream is that he's just both. He can do all the things. And that's why you can talk yourself into making that pick. And I get it. But like, if they really want to be a heavy zone team and a heavy move guys around, like watch Caleb Lomu run. It is effortless for him. He just glides all over the field, and you can get yourself in trouble falling in love with that type of stuff. But like screen game, getting out in space, Zion Johnson can do that stuff. Like it just seems like that's what they want to do, even if they want to be able to also get downhill and do some of that stuff. But I think they really want to. Just seems like we're headed to a world where they want to do a whole lot of zone stuff. Yeah, which is fine with me. I got no problem with it so long as they can do it. But yeah.
Let me ask you this now, because and again, there's still so much of the preseason to go. Free agency to go. I'm sure we're going to add more pieces. We might even make a trade or two. Who knows? But as it stands right now, like say we don't sign another free agent at tackle, and we go into the draft as is, right? I don't see more than maybe 4 legitimate left tackle options to come in here and compete for the job, right? You've got Monroe Freeling, you've got Caleb Lomu. I mean, other than that, Caden Proctor, I think, is better off on the right side, maybe at guard, right?
Well, here's the question.
What's that?
Here's the question on Caden Proctor. Based on what they've done, is that the guy they want?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to this, but they've got a whole bunch of guys who can move. Now, Caden Proctor can move, freakishly so. And I know there were some people who are like disappointed with him running a 5.2 40.
He's a mountain.
50.
He's a mountain.
50. Like, there are people like, man, I thought he was going to put like a sub 5 time. Like, come on.
He's like a small car.
What are you talking about? He's like a moon running out there, but like regardless, he's like a really good athlete. But my concern comes down to, can he hold up over the course of 70 plays or whatever it is? And it's fair. Like the Browns have talked to him. They're very curious. But anyway, so you mentioned Proctor, Freeling, Lomu. Who's your fourth?
Swinging a right tackle over, like an athletic guy, like a Max Ihanachor.
I'm terrified to find out that he's going to be old, and I'm super bitter about it. I haven't seen it officially, but I'm hearing he's going to be old.
How old?
Old enough that I'm going to be mad.
Old enough, and it's gonna kill it for you. It's a shame.
Now, there's one guy the Browns have talked to, which I'm referring to as the sort of the backup plan. Markel Bell.
I thought you like big guys. He's 6'9", 345. You're okay with that?
I don't. But the Browns brought him in for a pre-draft visit. They brought him in. He was one of the first ones. They've had like 4.
Big boy for sure. Yeah.
Yes, the terminal tower at left tackle. Let's go. Like, yeah. To go from DeJuan Jones to that is great. Like, you've got 2 kaijus at tackle, battling it out.
You do.
It's like slamming together like
absolute units.
Like moose. But like, yeah, he's fascinating because he's really well proportioned for how big he is. But like, I am terrified about his bending and dealing with edge rushers. Like, in a world where, in a world with rules and justice, where Max Crosby has to be on the Ravens, I was worried about a Markel Bell having to deal with that.
Yeah.
Just those speedy guys you can bet. Like Herbig is a nightmare for somebody like that, who's just going to ask you got to bend and you got to be able to get low. Now he's so wide that he can get up. And obviously DeJuan Jones was really, really good at that when healthy. Markel Bell still is nowhere near as good as DeJuan Jones was in terms of pass protection efficiency. So, and based on what this conversation, this fascination with pass protection, maybe they're just going to be like, DeJuan Jones, you're the man. Yeah. I don't know, but like,
well, maybe they're getting that power left tackle to ultimately pivot to Dylan Gabriel. Just be the blindside protector.
So the contingency plan to me is Markel Bell. You're like, we missed on all the guys. Markel, get your butt over here. You're huge. Just stand there.
And real quick, Chris in the chat, turning right tackles to left tackles has not worked out for us. It is not my choice. But if we don't get Freeling or Lomu or Caden Proctor, I don't know who we're going to get to play left tackle, brother. That's the only reason I even brought that up. But I am 200% with you. I'm leaving Jed Wills at right tackle and calling it a day.
No, you're not. Like, because would you have just left Wirfs at right tackle? Because he's a hell of a left tackle.
It's none of your business, Pete. It's none of your business.
Yeah, that's it's just you've got Titus Howard who's played 3 spots. You get Elton Jenkins who's played 3 spots. You got Zion Johnson who's played 2 spots. Like, get over it. It's reps and figuring it out. Jed Wills,
and that's the thing. Players are going to be players, and workers are going to be workers. And if Jed A stayed healthy and B had more of a football head on his shoulders, maybe it's a different thing. But who knows? Either way, gentlemen, thank you guys for sticking with us. We appreciate it very, very much. Obviously, thank you to the OBR and the OBR streaming network. And be sure to check out OBR.com right now, guys. Now's the time to sign up and become an insider yourself. Get all the access to insider forums, all the articles. You got Pete, you got Fred, you got Lane Adkins, Boots on the Ground in Berea. They're getting all the information, so be sure to check it out. Thank you guys again. Happy Tuesday. Pete, always a pleasure, brother. And we'll be back next week, obviously, with more free agency talk, and we'll catch you guys later. Take it easy.